Hello and welcome to AV Cyberactive. My name is Avinash and I'm going to talk today about another interesting topic that is CIA Triad. Let's get started. Now, if you're into cybersecurity, you already know how important the CIA triad is. Everything you do, everything you study, everything you studied, everything you are going to study in cybersecurity will eventually boil down to three basic things. That is CIA. Okay, let's go ahead and drill down to them one by one, starting with what is the abbreviation for the CIA. So CIA simply stands for stands for confidentiality, stands for integrity, and A stands for availability. We'll pick them one by one and try to understand what each of these mean. Let's start with the first one, that is confidentiality. Confidentiality, let's define them. That is confidentiality means only authorized individuals or systems can view sensitive or classified information. The data being sent over the network should not be accessed by unauthorized individuals. That statement pretty much in itself is very clear, should be very clear. Let's try to understand this with the help of an example. We got our users once again, Alice and Bob. They would want to communicate, but in a way that no attacker in between should be able to interpret or read that information. Now, Alice wants to communicate with Bob and, of course, wants to communicate secretly. But if there is an attacker looking at their communication, they would be able to see everything in plain text because everything that Alice is sending over to Bob is in plain text. Now, how does Alice achieve this for the information to be confidential? Here, what Alice and Bob, they go ahead and agree to a key. That the secret key could be anything. It can be one of the hashing algorithms that can be used. Now, Alice, whatever information she wants to send over to Bob, would encrypt that information or that message using that key. Like you lock a door with a key, right? And only the person having that key would be able to open the door. So she goes ahead and encrypts that information and sends the message over to Bob. Now, since this is a shared key and it's a symmetric key, it's already been agreed that the message can only be opened using that shared key. So when the message reaches over to Bob, Bob is able to open the message using the symmetric shared key and the message is decrypted. This is how confidentiality is achieved and the entire transaction remains confidential. Of course, this is understanding this at a very basic level. An example of encrypting the entire transaction is using a very strong encryption standard, that is advanced encryption standard, which is the strongest known so far. All right. Next, integrity, kind of most important in the CIA triad. Now, what does integrity stand for in terms of cybersecurity? So integrity involves making sure that your data is trustworthy and free of tampering. The integrity of your data is maintained only if the data is authentic, accurate, and reliable. Okay, those are very important terms up here. Let's try to understand this with the help of an example. Integrity. So how do you verify that this message you've received is the same that the sender has sent? We can achieve this by something called a hash function. Let's try to understand what's a hash function. Now, to understand hash, it's simply a one-way hashing function, which means if the message has been converted from one form to another form, it cannot go the other way. For example, you input that as hi, my name is Alice, and you'd want to wrap this information in such a way that it produces a message or a message string of a particular length that is very specific this message only. For example, you run the message, hi, my name is Alice, with a cryptographic hash function. That cryptographic hash function is a mathematical function that would run the message and spit out a message digest that is about anywhere between 48 bit to 228-bit long, depending on the hashing algorithm that you choose. That is specific to this message only. Now, if the message changes to "Hi, my name is Bob," you see the entire message or the entire hash string would change. This is how you verify the message that the sender wanted to send is the same message that the receiver has received. So, uncovering the hash in this case, the hash is simply denoting that the message has not been tampered with. So if the receiver receives the message, the receiver would try to calculate the hash of the message using the same cryptographic function. They would get the same output that the sender sent them in the first place to begin with. This is how you achieve integrity. Let's go to our last one, that is availability. Now, the whole idea of availability is it doesn't matter if your data is confidential, it doesn't matter if your data is being maintained with the correct amount of integrity, but if it's not available for your intended audience, what good is it for? So availability is just the data or resources should be available to authorized users whenever they require it. This means keeping your systems, networks, and devices up and running. And what good way to explain this by the help of understanding architecture of DOS and DDoS attack. By the way, I'll link a video which I've made a few weeks ago on the difference between DOS and DDoS. Do remember to check out that video because that covers the difference between DOS and DDoS in extensively. Okay, moving on with this one. So the architecture of DOS attack. So if you've seen the diagram here, the attacker is trying to attack the victim, but not directly, but indirectly. And it does so using a powerful handler server or a machine. And the handler server is controlling the zombie machines, which is also called a botnet. Now the victim gets so busy in answering everything from those zombie or botnets, whether it's from UDP packets being received or TCP packets being received, that the data is unavailable or its serving customers are unavailable. This is how availability is affected for your business. It's always good that your business is running and it's maintaining all the data and it's keeping them confidential as well. But if it's not available, it's not doing any good to your end customer. Now, this video is not at all supposed to be taken as an extensive coverage for the CIA triad. There are many resources available over the internet that will help you understand the CIA triad in depth. Do let me know if other videos you want me to cover or there are any specific topics you want me to cover in the future videos. At the very least, share this video with your family and friends so they can benefit from learning more about cybersecurity. And I wish you all the very best for your exams and I wish you all a happy new year. Bye now.